If we're going to call that one movie the Vitch, I'm pretty sure in fairness, we need to call this one Blackkklansman. No? Blackkklansman is Spike Lee's latest joint based on the true story of a black Colorado Springs police officer who went undercover as a member of the KKK. John David Washington stars in a movie that attempts to both stoke your conscience and tickle your funny bone. Can a movie be both deeply upsetting and hilarious? We're about to find out with 5 things about Blackkklansman. Yes, a movie can apparently do both things, and it is the thing that sets this movie apart, I think. I think this is a powerful, important piece of art from Spike Lee here. And I had a good time watching it. Imagine that. Let's start here. It can be, and this is just a warning, this isn't a negative or a positive, although I guess it could be both depending on who you are. This is a deeply upsetting film that is willing to go deep into what the racial ramifications of our culture and our country are. It is a movie that is not shy. It is bold about racism, the way it existed, the way it exists. It is bold about phrases and words and awful things that people would just say or possibly will just say. It's so hard to imagine. All of those things are here, and I just wanted to warn you up front, this is a movie that is not shy about what hate looks like. One of the things this movie has going for it, and we'll just start with this as the first good thing about the movie, it's based on a true story, and what an incredible true story. Now, I'm not naive enough to believe everything I see on the screen is actually how it happened in the real world, but I am very much a true story kind of guy, and that kind of stuff gets to me. And man, there's some interesting stuff going on here. In fact, if you read the real story, I think the guy's name is Ron Stallworth. If you read his real story and his real accounts, they are just as fascinating, even though they're a little bit different. And there are some things in this movie that are amped up, for the movie to be a little more intense. I understand that kind of stuff. Still, what an incredible dude and what an incredible thing he did to be able to do this. And I think the movie does a great job at laying this story in front of you and going, look at this guy, look at what he did, and because of that, you're just invested. The other thing this movie does incredibly well, and we've already mentioned it a couple times, is the way it juggles the depth with the humor. This movie is hilarious. The way it balances the humor, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not even sure how it does it. I don't know how this manages to work, because at one moment, I'm laughing hilariously at something that is happening in the movie. And by the way, Spike Lee, I think he's even said this, is playing up the humor in this movie. He wants audiences to be able to laugh. And so it's not even an uncomfortable laugh, because what's happening really is funny. And at the same time, mere seconds later, it's deeply disturbing. I don't know how the movie pulls that off, per se. I just know that it does, and I never felt like that tone disconnect took me out of the movie. It all felt like it fit together and made the experience even better. I also have to spend some time on the amazing performances in this movie. John David Washington is spectacular in this. I've seen him in the show Ballers as well. He does such a great job. I don't think he has to be worried about being overshadowed by his famous father, by Denzel. I think he's got his own career locked in, and I think he's going to have a good one because he is so good in this. And I think part of the reason that balancing act we talked about works is because of how he's able to shift in between the two. And by the way, he kind of does some similar things in Ballers, too. That is also a show that tends to be funny and also deal with some serious stuff. So maybe he's had a little bit of practice. I also have to mention Adam Driver, who is great in this. Topher Grace playing David Duke is pretty phenomenal. Really, there's not a weak link in the cast. I enjoyed all of these performances, but I think John David Washington is worth bringing to the forefront and just saying, man, this kid's going to have an incredible career. And finally, let's end here with the only thing that might be a little bit negative for me, although I'm just going to give it a caution because I'm not sure overall it really is a negative or would be one for everyone. This movie is very didactic. What I mean by that, it's very on the nose, very preachy. It spells it out on the screen. It wants to make sure you know very well what it's saying, what it's referencing, what it means. Now, the reason I'm just going to put a caution on that is honestly, maybe that's kind of what we need, and it feels very intentional. It doesn't feel accidentally didactic. It feels intentionally didactic. It feels like a movie that is wanting to say, you know what? Tried laying it between the lines. Let's get bold here and really spell it out. Now, for me, I don't feel like I need that stuff, and it comes off to me as a little bit forced. And there are several moments during the movie that are like that. For most, maybe this is exactly the movie we need on the screen, and I'm pretty sure it's exactly the movie that Spike Jonze meant to put on the screen. Overall, I feel like BlackkKklansman is a spectacular, deep, disturbing, and hilarious movie that I'm not quite sure how Spike Lee pulled off, but I loved it enough to give it an A-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the Best Ever Challenge here in a bit. Before we do, though, let's connect further. Hit me up on Twitter, @AaronDicer. I would love to connect there. Talk movies there all the time. You can also, if you like, hit me up here on YouTube. Just hit subscribe. In fact, hit the little alert bell. And that way, anytime a new review comes out, you'll know immediately about it. And we can hang out here on YouTube. Leave a comment as well. That's always fun. Make sure you subscribe. There's a fly been flying around this whole time. It's a lot of fun. Hit subscribe. I would love for you to subscribe to the channel as well. The podcast would be a great place to connect as well. You can do that at SiftPop, S-I-F-T-P-O-P, whatever podcast player you use would be a perfect way to do that. SiftPop, S-I-F-T-P-O-P. And thank you for your support at Patreon. Patreon.com/yourmoviefriend is the way to support. Starts with $3 a month. Some fun perks there. Go check it out. You don't have to give. I don't expect anybody to give. Just you watching the video is cool enough with me. But if you want to, it's always a humbling thing to know that there are people over there giving their dollar bills to make this happen. So thank you for doing that. It means a lot. All right, let's get on to the Best Ever Challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. Also try to identify my choice. We're going to go with Best Ever Movie that involves a fly buzzing around and distracting you. No, it's not that. We're actually going to do Best Ever Movie of a second-generation actor. Somebody whose parents, one of his or her parents, were a famous actor, and now they're a famous actor. So what's the best movie that features a second-generation actor? This could be a really fun one. I'm going to go with the one from the son of the man who played the dad on Addams Family. You may have to know a little bit of trivia there. Try to do that without Googling and try to guess, because they do have a similar look to them as well, so you might be able to get there with just that clue. First person to get it right in the comments does get a point, and as always, I'll give you a few extra seconds here to hit subscribe. Just click my face. Maybe scare away that fly.